And today I'm going to start with talking about these two people right here. And I'm going to show this to the camera. And then I'll put it back there. This is Father Vincent Capodanno and Father Emil Capon. And this is Vincent and this is Emil. He was in Vietnam and he was in Korea. And they were military chaplains. Father Capon in Korea, they say that he was so brave, so courageous. I guess he liked to smoke a pipe, and he would be right out on the battlefield, right out there. He felt, I have to be there with the soldiers. They're being wounded, they're dying. I'm giving them the last rites. And that's what he did. But he was in a, well, they said his pipe was shot out of his mouth twice. I mean, he just literally walked around the battlefield. Had no fear. Eventually, his whole group was captured. And they were taken to a prisoner of war camp in North Korea. And the communists really treated them badly. And since he was a Catholic priest, he got treated horribly. And but he was in that prisoner of war camp for about 1.5 years. And he did everything he could possibly do to serve the soldiers and give them the sacraments. And I guess he was fearless in the prisoner of war camp too. Like, he would sneak into the where they stored food and stuff, and he would get it and give it to the soldiers and stuff. And eventually, though, the communists tortured him to death. And so he is in the process of being canonized. He has passed the first step. Well, actually, the first step is servant of God. The second step is venerable, and he's now venerable. And there are a number of miracles attributed to him, and so he's working through. I have no doubt he'll be a canonized saint before too long. Father Emil Capon. What a great guy. The second one is Father Vincent Capodanno, and he was a Maryknoll missioner, and he worked in Taiwan, in Hong Kong a little bit as a missionary. But when the Vietnam War came around, and he volunteered to go there. And he was a military chaplain with the Marines. And he too was not your typical chaplain who stayed in the background and said mass, far away from the battle line. He was right out there with them. Sometimes he would say mass over a box of ammunition. He would use that for his altar. And there are many books about him also. One of the most famous is called The Grunt Padre. Marines were called grunts in the infantry, and Padre because he was a priest, a father. And like Father Emil, he was always on the front lines, never had any fear, helping men in their last moments, giving them the last rites, and just a great guy. He eventually was killed in combat. There was a wounded American Marine, and he was trying to help him. There was a machine gun that was not that far away, and he laid his body down to shield the Marine from the machine gun fire, and he himself was shot 27 times in the back and killed. And that was September the 4th, 1967. And he has been awarded the Medal of Honor. Father Capon has been awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor, the highest awards that the American government can give. But that's nothing compared to the awards that the good Lord, I'm sure, will give them. I mean, you lay down your life. Jesus said there's no greater love than that. So these guys, they laid down their life when they became priests. I think a lot of times we really don't appreciate our priests enough. You know, they have chosen to serve us with their whole life and to give us the sacraments that draw us close to God and close to heaven. So sometimes, like you, I find priests can be kind of annoying. They can do things that are like, what? But, you know, they've made a choice to really give themselves to God and to give themselves to the service of us. And so we really should be very grateful. And these men laid down their life in their priesthood, and they literally laid down their life in the warfare. One quick story about Father Vincent Capodanno. There was an American named Robert Smith. He was an 18-year-old Catholic and practicing his faith. And they say that, you know, he prayed his rosary each day, and he was sent to Vietnam. And in 1967, he was killed. His father and his sister were living in different cities, but they both woke up at 1 a.m. They had both just had a dream, and in their dream, their brother and son, Robert, got killed in Vietnam. And they saw a priest giving him the last rites. And then they both woke up. One of them called the other one at 1 a.m. and the other one answered and said, Robert is dead. And the other one said, yeah. Did you have the dream too? Yep. They had both had the same dream in different cities at the same moment. So they pretty much knew that Robert had been killed in combat. Sure enough, they received confirmation of that in the next week or two later, and eventually Robert's body was brought back and they buried him and everything. Well, a year or so later, Father Vincent's picture was on television or somewhere, and the sister was watching and she saw him and she said, that's the priest that gave the last rites to my brother Robert when he was dying on the battlefield. So she told her dad, and the dad looked it up and he saw the picture of Father Vincent. He said, absolutely. Now here's the amazing thing. Father Vincent died September 4th of 1967. Robert Smith died September 21st of 1967. He died 2 weeks before. He came down from heaven and he gave him the last rites. When that young man was killed, he had already been dead for over 2 weeks. And yet, they both saw him. And an investigation revealed there was no chaplain assigned to that platoon. There was no priest out there. And the commander said, "We didn't have any priest here. None of our priests could have possibly given him the last rites." So that's pretty cool. I love that. And so I just wanted to make you aware of these two guys because I think they're great. And there's books about each of them. And my son Luke, he read books about each one of them. And he was so inspired, he named his first child Capodanno Capon Cardonier. And we didn't even know it. Little Capodanno was baptized on New Year's Day. It just happened. He was born on my wedding anniversary, Ann and I's wedding anniversary, November 24th. And then they set up baptism, and it just turned out that that Sunday was a New Year's Day, January 1st, New Year's Day. And wouldn't you know it, Capodanno means New Year's in Italian. Did not know that. We didn't know that at all. And here he turned out he was baptized on that day, on New Year's Day.